Well, hello everyone, and welcome to our session on how customer marketing and product management use Pendo to fuel CallRail's product-led growth strategy. We're really excited to share how we've harnessed Pendo's capabilities to create a seamless in-app customer experience that drives business growth. By the end of the session, we hope you'll have a better understanding of how you can apply these strategies to your own business using Pendo to drive product-led growth and achieve measurable results. So thank you for joining us today. Let's get started. So thank you for the warm introduction, but just a little bit more about us. I'm Carly Cornforth. I'm the Senior Manager of Customer Marketing at CallRail. I've been in B2B SaaS marketing for about 8 years. I joined CallRail in 2021, and I lead a team of marketers focused on expansion, engagement, and advocacy. By having a dedicated team focused on customer marketing and advocacy initiatives, we're able to understand exactly where our customers are in their buyer's journey, provide them with content, experiences, and opportunities to help them achieve their desired outcomes. And of course, Pendo helps us make that happen, which is why we're standing in front of all of you today. Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Parham. I'm an Associate Product Manager at CallRail. I joined CallRail in 2021 right out of college, and I spent about a year on our sales team. At that time, due to the success of CallRail's Pendo strategy, our product team opened up a new role to find a dedicated PM to own Pendo. My product knowledge and connection with our customer base made me a great fit for the role, and clearly it's brought me a ton of amazing opportunities along the way. So I'm really excited to be speaking here today. Before we dive into it, I want to talk a little bit about CallRail. CallRail is an AI-powered lead intelligence platform that makes it easy for businesses of all sizes to market with confidence. Serving more than 200,000 companies worldwide, CallRail solutions help businesses track and attribute each lead to their marketing journey, capture and manage every call, text, chat, and form, and use insights surfaced by AI to optimize their marketing.
Okay, so first, what to expect from this session. I'm going to give an introduction on how we use Pendo at CallRail to drive our product-led growth with a particular focus on in-app customer expansion. We'll look at how we're able to reach our customers at the right time directly within our platform to add value and encourage growth. Next, Sarah is going to be walking you through our three-prong approach to in-app marketing. This approach helps us effectively engage our users, and she'll be sharing some tips on how you can apply these strategies to your own business. We'll also showcase real-life examples of successful Pendo guides we've created and talk about what's worked well for us. But we'll go beyond just the wins. We'll cover the do's and don'ts of cross-selling and upselling in your application, helping you avoid common pitfalls and make sure your approach feels natural to your users. And of course, we'll make sure to have some fun along the way. You might be thinking, how fun could a presentation about cross-selling and upselling be? Well, under normal circumstances, not very fun. But when Sarah and I were discussing how we could spice up the presentation, one idea became very clear. If we want to act like we're the best at PLG, then why not compare ourselves to the best in the music industry? So I'm happy to share that the one and only Taylor Swift will be a supporting character in our presentation today. Unfortunately, only via memes on slides, not in the flesh. But for those of you that are not a fan, don't panic. We will not be singing or playing her music, but just using her songs as a representation of our journey through developing our PLG strategy. We thought it only fitting, as Sarah and I are both big Taylor Swift fans. We've seen the Eras Tour not once, but twice, and we both even made a trip to Europe this summer to see the second show. So without further ado, like Taylor's song Blank Space, we had a blank space for implementing a product-led growth strategy at CallRail. Prior to launching Pendo at CallRail in 2020, cross-sell and upsell revenue was not a predictable source of revenue for our business. There was no strategy or product-led implementation to support growth through our back-to-base business. At the time, we had an established and successful free trial entry point for prospects to try our flagship product, call tracking, but there was no cross-functional strategy to drive our customer base to trial and activate our add-on products. We chose Pendo because it provided a powerful, data-driven approach to engage our users directly where they are, making it easier for customers to discover and adopt additional products or features. Fast forward several years later, and we're leveraging Pendo to fuel a robust product-led growth strategy. With a dedicated and aligned cross-functional team focused on cross-selling and upselling, and a thoughtful go-to-market strategy with Pendo as our primary channel, our back-to-base expansion revenue now accounts for about 20% of the business's new monthly recurring revenue. And what makes this even more special is we just got our Centaur status, and we just hit 100 million as a business. So back-to-base is really helping that. So once we had our tech stack in place with Pendo at the helm, our product, customer, and sales teams came together under a single goal: driving trials and upgrades for our suite of additional products. Since we implemented the strategy, the next year, we more than doubled our new back-to-base expansion revenue. But this takes a village, and a large part of our success is driven by the fact that we keep all Pendo guide creation within our product organization, led by, managed, and coordinated through Sarah, our growth product manager. So this ensures we always put the user experience first, and that we maintain a specific brand within our application that complements our out-of-app channels. My team in customer marketing collaborates with Sarah to build quarterly Pendo roadmaps aligned with our campaign plans. We have a weekly touch base, and we stay in lockstep on all needs and opportunities to engage with customers in our application. On the input side, customer marketing collaborates with sales and product marketing to determine messaging, segmentation, and areas of focus for campaigns, including things like pricing promotions, feature releases, etc. And once the inputs are in place, we coordinate with Sarah to determine if there are designer content needs from our UX team or development tickets to be written for our engineering team. And along the way, she ensures that the product management team is briefed and consulted on all relevant roadmap initiatives.
Thanks, Carly. So we created a three-prong approach focused on in-app contextual cross-selling and upselling, customer lifecycle-based prompts, and one-off campaigns, all within our application to ensure that we're approaching the user at the right time with the right message. By using Pendo, we support our sales and customer marketing teams to drive free trials and activations of new products back to our existing customer base while simultaneously growing revenue on mature products. First, for our contextual cross-selling and upselling, if you want to go back one slide, Carly. First, for our contextual cross-selling and upselling, we combine hard-coded experiences in our application with flexible Pendo guides so we can easily track conversions and A/B test the messaging. Sorry for the blank slide.
The slide's not working, but this is our first strategy. We'll go to an example.
Our guides work hand in hand with development in strategically identified places throughout our application to ensure that the user is getting the solution when they need it most. This is one of our most successful contextual cross-sells. You can see that the user is manually reviewing calls by playing each call recording, and in that moment, we offer them Conversation Intelligence, a product that allows them to automatically transcribe each recorded call, making it faster and easier to gain insights from every interaction. The modal that you see there is a Pendo guide, and more specifically, the winning version of this guide that went through several A/B tests before we landed on the perfect headline, price placement, and CTA combination. This contextual cross-sell alone drives 60 to 70% of all of our back-to-base conversation intelligence trials, and it's a really great example of giving the user a solution when they need it most. Next, we have our campaign-based guides, our customer lifecycle-based guides. This is our more evergreen approach to meeting the user when and where they are in their journey with CallRail, down to their current usage levels, product mix, and just their time spent in the app so far. Engagement with these guides feeds into our lead score strategy via Salesforce to help identify a customer's readiness to buy additional products. This is an example of one of our lifecycle-based guides for our product form tracking. This one happens to be a cross-sell, but these guides will vary between cross-sells, upsells, and case studies. Pendo makes it really easy for us to learn and iterate here by A/B testing the copy, introducing new metadata to make these segments even more distinct, and really zeroing in on the customer profile of who is most likely to buy a certain product at a certain time. Finally, we have our campaign-based guides. These are going to be more one-off guides focused on promotions, seasonal campaigns, and any specific revenue goal that we're working towards that month. Here's an example of one of our campaign-based guides. We like to take advantage of doing seasonal themed campaigns like this Valentine's Day one. We do a Valentine's theme every year, and it always performs really well. And then when Valentine's Day is over and this is no longer relevant, I'll go in and swap the quote image for something a little bit less heart-filled and tweak the body copy, and then it's good to go for the rest of February. Another popular one that we run every year is our spring cleaning campaign, and this one was combined with a promotion as well. This is another example of an A/B test that we ran where we tested the dollar amount off versus the percentage off. Once we determined that this version, version A, was the winner, I turned off version B, dropped the sample group rule from version A, and added a new rule to the segment to exclude anyone who had already seen version B. Again, just an example of how much data and segmentation goes into running each of these guides. Now that we've gone through our three-prong approach, let's talk about how we bring these guides to life. When faced with a new problem, I'll meet with customer marketing and we'll come up with a strategy around how to solve it, and oftentimes that strategy is going to involve using Pendo. From everything that we just talked about with our three-prong approach, to new product launches, to customer onboarding, Pendo is sprinkled everywhere throughout our application. Like Carly shared earlier, we're not the only people involved in this process. I like to lean on our UX designers for help with researching new personas, supporting new user flows when we introduce new features in our application, and advising on UI to keep our guides really clean and consistent. Engineering is also a huge help when it comes to adding more and more metadata to Pendo so we can keep those segments really distinct, personalizing our guides and templates with custom CSS, and powering that one-click free trial with the JavaScript event listeners to reduce friction.
We promised there was stuff on these slides.
We worked really hard on them, I promise.
At least the visuals are working, those are the most important.
Yeah, so everything we just talked about, over time, we've learned a lot about what works and what doesn't, but that doesn't stop us from continuing to test, learn, and iterate. We regularly test content, CTAs, and images, including static versus GIFs. If something isn't performing as well as we'd like, we'll go in and make changes to see if we can move the needle. And even when we put something up that we truly believe is going to be successful, when the data proves that it isn't, Pendo makes it really easy for us to make changes quickly or even take it down completely if needed. Carly and I compiled our list of do's and don'ts for cross-selling and upselling in your own application. For the do's, if I haven't made it clear enough already, A/B testing is so valuable. Guide throttling is a must when you're running as many guides as we are. You should be adding as much metadata as you can, because the more metadata you have, the more distinct your segments can be, and that's going to make any test you run more meaningful and more measurable. Everyone should be having fun with themes. It's Pendo. It doesn't need to live in your app forever and ever, so why not add a little fun and seasonality when you can? Again, with segmentation, when you're running as many guides as we are, we try to really focus and make sure that our users aren't overloaded by the amount of things that they're seeing. We implemented Lead Score by integrating Pendo with Salesforce, and this helps us identify an account's readiness to buy additional products. And then for our one-click free trials, when we first implemented Pendo at CallRail, we tried to send users to a checkout flow, and we saw a 90% abandonment rate. That's when we pulled in development to work their magic with the one-click free trials via the JavaScript custom event listeners. And now, since it's a one-click trial, 100% of users who interact with the cross-sell successfully add the product.
So now on the don't side, as Sarah mentioned about our one-click trials, it's important that your CTAs do not drive users out of your application unless absolutely necessary. The beauty of in-app messaging is that it can keep a user engaged in their workflow, so driving them out of the application can cause disruption and a drop-off. Next, don't rinse and repeat the same message over and over again. Users will tune out if they feel like they're receiving the same content constantly. It's important to refresh your messaging and tailor it to where your users are in their journey. And of course, don't lose sight of your app's voice with long and wordy messages. Keep it clear and concise to make sure your users are not completely disrupted as they're trying to do a task in your application. And lastly, don't spray and pray. And what I mean by this is don't blast every user with the same message. It's important to use the data you have available to target users based on behavior, usage data, industry data, anything you have at your disposal to be able to really make sure that they're receiving the most relevant message to them. Personalization is what makes this the most effective. Okay, so this year, we've really put an added focus on customer delight. Obviously, we've talked a lot about cross-sell and upsell, but there's another part of this in customer marketing. I mentioned my team focuses also on engagement and advocacy, so it's important that we're also ensuring our users feel really engaged in our application and that we're helping them through. So we developed quarterly milestones to help make our marketing more targeted, delightful, and poised for conversion. These milestones range from getting more data into Pendo, which provides more targeted and personalized experiences for our users, to removing friction in their clicks with implementing things like the Calendly integration to surface meeting times with our account management and support teams directly in the guide itself, to also launching in-app experiences for the pure intention of making our users feel good and supported by CallRail. One of those purely delightful experiences is our new anniversary guide, which pops for users upon 1 year of logging into our application. We were inspired by Pendo's version of this guide because it brought each of us so much joy, so much so that we couldn't stop talking about it. So we decided to replicate that experience in our own app and even worked with our engineering teams to code customized confetti using CallRail's brand colors. This guide delights while also giving users a chance to share how their strategies have changed in the last year since using CallRail, keeping the value of our solutions top of mind for them. And our most exciting and anticipated guide that we have been working on for over a year now is our Spotify Wrapped Inspired experience. It's still a work in progress and of course very top secret, but we're thrilled to be launching this in December. So what you're seeing on this slide is just mock-ups with placeholder copy, but this has been a massive cross-functional project that will surface data unique to the user's account, giving them an opportunity to reflect on their past year with CallRail and all that they've accomplished. But that's not all. So in addition to all the work that we've showcased so far, we also launched a new product in July called Convert Assist. It's an AI solution that really helps our users take their phone calls to the next level by providing things like automated call coaching, action plan, follow-up messages, things that really help them convert their leads. So in the past, we would usually wait to pull internal resources together to design and test an in-app contextual cross-sell experience until we had more learnings post our product launch. But with a proven track record of what works, we were able to apply past learnings, A/B tests, and create a successful in-app contextual for the new product upon launch, fueling that early adoption from our customer base. And this is the result. We had the perfect location to apply a button when a user is reviewing details of a call. Upon the button click, a panel slides out showcasing elements of the new product's UI with clear value points and upfront pricing. We applied a one-click trial to reduce friction and increase conversion. This contextual has generated over 20% of our back-to-base trial volume for Convert Assist since its launch in July, alleviating the pressure on our sales and our marketing teams to really drive those trials and the early stages of this product. So it's been extremely successful so far. Okay, well, we've come to the end. We wanted to give you a couple takeaways before we head into questions. So first, align your product, your customer marketing, your sales teams to really build a cohesive product-led go-to-market strategy, driving expansion through in-app messaging. Next, leverage in-app guides to seamlessly target customers for cross-sell and upsell opportunities based on product usage, behavior, and lifecycle data.
Use metadata to segment users to ensure that the right message is delivered at the right time. Customize your guides with branded themes for a consistent user experience across all devices. And finally, personalize your guides and create moments of delight to celebrate customer milestones, fostering loyalty and engagement. That's all we have for our session today, but we're happy to take some questions. And I'm sorry about the slides.
Amazing job. Thank you so much for putting up with our technical issues, not only our wonderful speakers, but also the audience. We promise we are working on it, and we apologize deeply for all of these issues. Let's move into a Q&A. What questions do you guys have for our awesome speakers? We've got one over here.
You mentioned how in order to optimize, you would be making changes to get to where you wanted to get to, moving the needle. How long did you wait before you made those changes so you had enough data to make that decision one way or the other?
We probably both have an opinion on this, but I'll just share that I think a couple factors play a role, right? A big thing with Pendo and in our application is views, right? We have, the more targeted we are, we know that certain user roles, certain industries, certain people are not logging in as regularly as others, right? Some industries are more likely to be using an API, taking our data out of our application. So views are really important. If we launch a guide and in 24 hours we've had what we consider to be a hefty percentage of views and the conversion isn't happening, then we need to know, we know we need to make a change or take it down, because you're wasting eyeballs on something that clearly isn't moving the needle. So we really look at that as a metric to say, okay, even just a headline change can take in 24 hours, the next 24 hours can make a huge difference in generating that trial volume for us.
I agree, and I think that's what makes the dynamic between Carly and I important too, because she dreams a little bit bigger and wants to make changes a little bit sooner, and I try to wait until we have the data that really proves that we should be making a change. We balance each other nicely in that sense.
Yeah, and I think it's the nature of our business too. Like, we move really fast, and it's great because Pendo helps us be flexible with that. Like, we're not the type of marketing team that spends months on a campaign, launches it, and just watches it fail. We continuously iterate and improve upon it to ensure that it's really driving the conversion we're looking for. So I know that's not applicable to necessarily everyone's business. I've worked at companies where it was like turning around a yacht versus a speedboat in our situation. So it keeps it really interesting, also sometimes stressful. But we find that, like, because Pendo, you can do it so easily, that really, really makes a difference for us.
Awesome question. Thank you so much. I think there's another one right behind you. Another question? Yep, back there. Good job.
Thank you. Great talk. That was super helpful. One issue that we've been running into at my organization, we are a B2B pricing enterprise software company, is we're having customers basically tell us that, like, hey, can you please stop suggesting these things and turn the guides off, or they're just like not even liking the pop-ups in the middle of their workflows. Did you guys experience this? And if so, how did you deal with it?
I think that we've been lucky to really not experience a ton of that. Every once in a while, especially if it's combined with an incident or something of that nature, we will stop running guides and give everyone a minute to breathe. And we do have a couple people, I'm sure, on some blacklist that we will not show guides to because they've complained about it. But in general, we haven't faced that issue. I think that part of our strategy is to try to make it pretty contextual and in line with what the user is trying to accomplish, so they don't feel like it's irrelevant to their current workflow, and instead really enhancing their current workflow.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to, guide throttling is huge for us, right? So while we have a ton of guides running at all times to a ton of different segments, they're not seeing a ton of them all at once, right? Our users are experiencing a very different situation than what we see in the back end. I think that's really important. I also think providing a really clear way for them to dismiss and then ensuring they don't see that again, right? If you log in the day we launch it and you dismiss it, that's it. Now, there's remind me later options, and I know LastPass had a great session yesterday that we were like, oh, we actually want to talk to you guys, because remind me later has been a situation where when we've leveraged that before, our users typically just use it to kind of kick the can down the road and never really convert. And it feels like that's really a waste of something where we could maybe launch a different campaign to them that might be more effective for that user type. So we need to do some testing there, and certainly we're definitely going to go back next week and do that. But I think just ensuring that it's a quick and easy way for them to dismiss if it doesn't feel like something they're going to do. But the contextual stuff is really where we thrive.
Great question. And a little subtle plug at Pendo, there are other ways that you can also communicate with your customers if they are getting guide overloaded. We have badges and tooltips and other fun things that are not so pop-up-y. And I'm sure there's a whole product village out there that would love to chat with you more about it. Next question. We got one over here in the corner.
Hi, ladies. Great talk. I love that you included Taylor Swift.
Thank you.
Really love that you guys are working towards a Spotify wrap. I'm not going to ask like company secrets or how are you doing it. I do have a question though. Those are super specific to individual users. How do you plan on segmenting?
It's a great question.
That is a great question. I mean, not exactly segmenting, but really each user is going to see a different experience. There's some engineering magic that's going to happen in the background, querying all that data and holding it so we can not have the slowest app load time in the whole world. But that's the part that we've been working on for the past year and figuring out how we can do this in a really clean way so we don't have a terrible user experience through this moment of attempted delight.
Yeah, and I'll also add, Okay.
Oh.
Okay. We chose data points that are really applicable to all our users, if that makes sense. So every user of CallRail has our call tracking product. That's our flagship product. They have to get call tracking to come in the door. My team is obviously very focused on with the Spotify Wrapped is it's more of an engagement campaign showcasing value. So we're really focusing on things that are applicable to call tracking. So we know that every customer is receiving calls. Every customer is likely integrated with one of our solutions partners. So there's things that we know will work for everyone. So yes, it's not super segmented, but the data is very personalized, which is what makes it really interesting.
Great question. Another question?
Right there.
Hi, I'm Amanda. We are super new to Pendo. We only signed like in the last month.
Woohoo!
So
Yeah, congratulations.
I would love to hear a lot more detail about how you're doing A/B testing.
Oh, great question. I'll start with just on the strategy side, and then Sarah can get into the more technical details. So my team is always thinking about testing, not just via Pendo and our application, but email and all of our other channels. And especially using our new product as an example, like we launched first to our customer base to really get learnings and apply that to when we take it to our demand marketing team, who's going to be spending all of this money to try to get people on this product. So let's really understand like what's resonating. So what we typically do specifically with Pendo is we look, headlines are a huge thing that we A/B test. And kind of back to the earlier question, like we found that just changing a headline and nothing else can really make a difference because that is what our users see. We also A/B test imagery. We've tried out some things. You saw a lot of our fun. Our design team is very fun, our brand design team. So we'll have some really fun campaign themes. But we also have a lot of GIFs that we use with UI and different things. So we'll A/B test static versus movement. We've tried out videos before. There's definitely different things in that area. Colors even, CTA colors, we really got to a place where we tested a lot of different things to see like what was it that was gonna pop for our users, like pink versus blue, things like that. So I think like from my perspective, we're really focused on like what test is gonna help us inform long-term how we go to market potentially or target those users, whether it's a certain industry, et cetera. But then technically,
Yeah, I think Carly provided a lot of really good context to how and why we do the A/B testing. I think the really like cut and dry answer is we'll use the sample group rule in Pendo, and if it's something that is if it's two different ideas, like two headlines, and we really don't know which way it's going to go, we'll do a 50-50 rule and just see how the users respond to each of those. And then if we have a process that's a little more cemented in place that we do over and over again because we know that it works, sometimes we'll do more of like an 80-20 split, and that way we're ensuring that most of the audience is seeing what we think will work, but still leaving room to look at the conversion of that 20% who see the other version.
yeah, and then we watch it carefully, right, to see if one is really converting at a higher rate early in it going live. We typically make a decision on the winner pretty quickly because again, we're trying to get as many conversions as possible, so we're not going to let that sit and not move the needle.
Great question. And I know you mentioned that you guys don't use Pendo for email, but as seen at Pendomonium yesterday, Pendo now has email. So
Yes.
we can hopefully convert you over to Pendo for that as well.
We're very excited about the Marketo integration, that's for sure. So we're going to
We
hear more
are
about
too.
that.
Other questions?
Oh, there's some over here.
Down here? I love when we make the mic runners run.
Run,
It's my favorite pastime.
Hi, my name's Amy. So I'm curious about your approach and how you make decision on what content stay in your in-product guides versus taking users out to maybe like a web page. Because your campaigns have a lot of the upsell elements. So how do you explain that value and perhaps even help users getting started just right in the product?
Yeah, again, kind of back to the testing, we tried a lot of different things, and it was sort of an example of the Valentine's Day campaign where we had a quote image. It was thematic for Valentine's Day, but we've really found that putting voice of customer in our Pendo guides is like what really drives conversion through the roof. Obviously, there's not always a new and amazing quote to use, but that's something that we've really seen move the needle. And I think when we first started to do that, we would do a dual CTA, one to start a trial, one to go read the case study. But what we found is that the quote was all the customer needed. They didn't need to go read a 3-page case study. They wanted that just really proof from our customers right there in the image, and that was what would make them start a free trial. Obviously, the free trial makes it easier for them to go ahead and just one-click into that because they know they have 14 days to test it out and then decide if they want to keep it. So I think that's what really helps our users. But also, we're very price forward. We always have a disclaimer in every Pendo guide with exactly how much it's going to cost them post-trial. So everything that they need is really upfront, and then once they one-click into that trial, it starts their onboarding journey for that. So it's just a really seamless experience, and I think that's why it's been so successful. Anything to add?
Yeah, I think Carly said it really well. And if you saw the guides that we had up there, part of our learnings along the way, a lot of content in them, and we just found over time that that's what the user needed to know to feel confident to buy the product. And some of that content includes you're going to have 14 days to try this out before you have to buy it, and this is exactly how much it's going to cost if you do buy it.
Yeah, and I think just one more thing too. One of the things we learned pretty early on is never see them come back or convert. Another thing we noticed is when we provided too many steps within a guide, we would lose conversion quickly. And we actually tested that a good bit. That transcripts contextual that we had up there that is just our most successful, that was actually a 2-parter, and we changed it to a 1-click and removed some of that friction. And again, that conversion just skyrocketed.
Great question, and shout out, because I believe Amy was one of our wonderful speakers yesterday, so love our speakers also asking and engaging in other sessions. That's great. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Oh,
Perfect. Amazing.
Nice to meet you both. I'm Stephanie. I also sit on a similar situation as you both. So I'm a marketer partnering closely with PM. So this was extremely exciting to hear and learn from you both. So I recall, Carly, you mentioned that you lead a team that also focuses on advocacy. So I'd love to learn more about how you're using Pendo to drive advocacy. Those examples were really cool to see about expansion and engagement, and I'd just love to learn more about that advocacy piece now. So when someone is a power user, what type of in-product experience do they get?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I definitely will be honest, I think we have more opportunity there. We recently relaunched our resource center where we're offering a lot of really good opportunities for our customers to do some more of those engagement activities. We have a new training series that we've added in there called CallRail Classroom that we're really proud of. So we do have some of those engagement experiences that we do intermittently with when we have things to showcase, right? We don't have a similar strategy as our cross-sell and upsell on the engagement side, just because of the nature of our users. The majority of our users are only using our call tracking products, so we have so much value to provide them from the standpoint of adding on others. But there's definitely, obviously, a lot of different things in the application that are helping them use our products. But our advocates are really, we try to communicate with them mostly out of the application. My customer marketer on my team who's focused on it has like a really good relationship with a lot of our top advocates. So she's communicating with them on a regular basis and using our other channels to kind of work that through. We also have a community that we use. So I don't know if there's anything else you want to add. Again, I think there's more that we can do there from a always on sort of strategy, but it's definitely more campaign based, I would say.
Great question. I know we have one over here.
I'm just curious if you bought Pendo originally for this cross-sell, upsell opportunity, or you saw it for something else and then pivoted it here, because I don't see that marketed very much for Pendo.
Yeah, that's a great question. I joined in 2021, you also joined in 2021, so unrelated, but we signed on to Pendo before both of us were here. I do think it was probably, the decision was made more from the onboarding perspective and using Pendo to actually help our users use our products. I think it opened up as an opportunity, really when we ramped up our customer marketing department and really put that focus on our back to base. It just made total sense because we were already so product-led focused and our application was built for that it just made sense to use Pendo in that way and really get with our engineering teams and figure out how could we leverage this tool in the best way possible for our users. Anything to add there?
I think that was nicely said. Yeah, I wasn't here either, but I'm happy that I get to work on Pendo
If we
now.
were here, we would have done the same thing.
I love that question. I know there's a few Pendo people in the room, so I'm sure we're all rigorously taking notes on how we can improve our marketing so that we can also hit on that. Other questions for this group? Okay, amazing. You guys did an absolutely incredible job. Guys, these are the real superheroes working through all those crazy technical issues. We apologize again.
That's okay.
But let's give them a very warm round of applause for their wonderful presentation.
Thank you.